Hey everyone, so I thought I would sit down while the baby naps to talk about Gianna's birth story. It is very triggering, so that's why I'm doing it audio style versus video. It just is easier for me to not talk to the screen, like seeing it. I don't know. So, my pregnancy went really well. I had a lot of pain, but I have a high tolerance for pain, so I did pretty okay. The only thing that was really rough was sciatica, but that helped. Like, lidocaine patches helped, and that was all helped, so that passed. So I had a planned C-section on September 8th. I went to the hospital on time. They did all my prepping and the things that they typically do to prepare for that. And then I was hooked up to the baby monitors. The kick counts, not the kick counts, what are they called? I don't know the terminology, but basically they take the baby's heart rate, and then there's another one. I think it might be my heart rate. I'm not sure. There were two bands. Oh no, I'm sorry. One was for my contractions and one was for the baby's heart rate. So I sat there for about an hour. We had a nurse in the room the whole time. She did a COVID test on me, and we were waiting to get the COVID test back. That took forever. And people were coming in and out, introducing themselves. Anesthesiologist came in. My first out of two surgeons came in. Some nurses, some scrub techs, people kept introducing themselves. And then about a half hour before my procedure, the OB doing my surgery came in. A little early, half hour early, like I said. I don't know if that's typical of them, because it's my first. But she came in, said hello, very friendly, asked how I was feeling, if I was excited, talked to my husband. And then she asked the nurse if she could take a peek at I don't know what the terminology is again, but the paper that comes out, which basically keeps track of the baby's heart rate. She asked to peek at that, and her face kind of dropped, but not to the point where I knew something was wrong immediately. She kept her cool very well. Said that she wanted to go check to see what the progress was and that if we could speed it up or something along the lines of that. And this is my first C-section, first birth ever. I anticipated that, we just had, she was there early, might as well get it done now. So she went to do that, and everything kind of sped up from there. They had Austin get in his gear right away. Everyone was very calm. And then I got my stuff on, and they said, okay, Dad, we'll leave you in here. You can meet us in here. I'll have a nurse walk you back, which was tough to leave him, even though I knew it was just be a few minutes. They walked me down the hallway. I told them I could walk. They offered to wheel me, but I said I wanted to walk because I was really anxious and nervous. I could feel, literally, I'm having like flashbacks. My heart's pounding right now as it did then. I can recount that so vividly. And I'm walking down this hallway, tears in my eyes, because I'm remembering that this is it. I'm about to meet my daughter. I'm sorry if I cried during this. It's a very emotional story for me. So I walk through these double doors, and this really bright light hits me, and it's really cold. It's really cold. Not like to the point I'm like hypothermic, but it's very cold, and I imagine us to keep things sterile and clean. And it smelled very clean. It didn't smell like bleach or anything. It just smelled really new, like almost like syringe water, like sterile water. And I walked in, and it is organized chaos is the best way to describe it. People are techs, doctors, surgeons, anesthesiologists are all yelling time checks back and forth. Everyone is working really, really, really fast, but not in a sloppy manner. Organized chaos is the best way to put it. And I thought this was normal for C-sections because I'd never seen surgeons do anything. Obviously, my only surgery, I was put to sleep, so I don't know. So I walk in, they have me sit on the thing right away, and they describe what's going to happen with my epidural really fast, but also they made sure I knew exactly what was going on. So they did it. I was numb instantly, and I laid back, and they started putting the tarp over, but then Austin wasn't in the room. So I said, wait, my husband. So the doctor made sure that he was there, and Austin came in right away after that and sat next to me and held my hand. We both had tears in our eyes. And we were both so excited. He's rubbing my forehead, kissing my forehead, telling me he loves me, and that he's so excited to meet his little girl. And then And then, I'm so sorry. And then they get to work. I feel pressure. I don't feel pain. I'm just a little uncomfortable because I'm cold. It's going to sound wrong, but I'm in a crucifix position. My arms are sprawled out left and right. My legs and my torso are straight and my head's looking upward. And I feel a lot of pressure. And I start moving my upper torso because I'm very uncomfortable. And I hear different tools and stuff. And I'm trying to keep my heart rate down because I felt very anxious. The anesthesiologist behind me is being so supportive and telling me to breathe. And then 5 minutes to 10 minutes go by and I don't really hear anything, but I anticipate it's because they're getting stuff, I didn't know how long it took to get the baby out. So I'm squeezing Austin's hand and my anxiety's so bad because it's pin drop silent and I thought they would talk to me and I felt the numbness go up my torso and into my neck and into my face. And I said, sir, because I didn't know his name. He was my anesthesiologist. I said, am I supposed to feel numb in my face, up to my face? And he said, no, you're not. And he said, do you feel that? And I said, yes, I can't really move my face. And then he looked at the monitor and my anxiety, my blood pressure was so high. He's like, all right, we got to get that down. And then as he's telling me this, I'm realizing it's been 15 minutes or 10, 15 minutes. I don't really recall accurately. And I said, what's going on? Is everything okay? And no one responds. And I said, is she out? Because I see nurses to the left of me doing a lot of things frantically. And the OB said, yes, she's out. And I start crying out of joy, but then it hits you. Hits you because you've seen the movies, you've seen the TV shows. If a baby doesn't cry, something is wrong. So I said, where is she? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. Towards the beginning, as they're cutting into me, they said, there is some meconium in the womb, Mom. But I didn't know what that was. So I said, is that fecal matter? And they said, yes, that's feces for the baby. They said, is she okay? And they said, I don't know if she's inhaled it or ingested it or anything, or if it's just floating. I said, okay, because I'm trying to keep my cool. Now fast forwarding to finding out she's out. If you hear static in the background, that's my daughter's baby monitor, and her white noise machine is very loud. Sorry, I'm trying to take deep breaths. So I said, is she okay? Is she out? What's going on? And they just kept going, she's fine, Talia. She's fine, Miss Johnson. Everything's fine. Because they're still trying to close me up. But, the more anxious I get, it can get messy. It can get bad. And I said, Austin, go see her. I don't want her to be alone. And, in that moment, it really hasn't hit you that something's seriously wrong. I just thought, oh, maybe she has some trouble getting out. She was anticipated to be a larger baby, but she was only 7 pounds 4 ounces. So he went over there. Sorry, obviously I'm on the operating table, and he goes over there and he has the biggest smile on his face, and he said, she has red hair, because I was so excited for us to see she had red hair. And I said, she does, and he said, she's beautiful, babe, she's beautiful. And all I wanted to do was run over there with them, but you can't because your numb was down and they're sewing you up. And so many nurses were around her that I couldn't see her. I couldn't even see a leg, a toe, a finger. I couldn't see anything. So, and it just was hard because I had to have Austin take a picture of her for me because I couldn't see her. I'm so sorry. And then I said, no, he came and sat next to me, and he held my hand and said, are you doing okay? And I said, what's wrong with Gianna? And he said, they're just helping her breathe a little bit. And I said, is she not breathing? And he said, I don't think that's the case. I think she's having just some trouble, so they're giving her a little bit of oxygen and stuff to help her. And I said, okay. And then I said, when can I see her? And no one responded to me. Because at this point, no one's even held her up for me. I don't know what she looks like. I haven't seen a toe or foot. an elbow, and I saw nothing. So I said, did you take a picture? And he said yes. So I got to see her from his phone. And I just kissed the phone because I just knew that was the closest I was going to get. For a little bit. I could just tell. At least it wouldn't be till after they sewed me up. And that was so painful in itself, just seeing that people were working on her and I couldn't be over there to tell her that she was okay. And then once I did, I still haven't heard her cry. I see people working on her. They're saying things to each other. They're saying, now that I know what it is, it's her APGAR score. And they were saying numbers and stuff. And I didn't know what it meant. And I just got really scared because then I realized something was wrong. She still wasn't crying. It was like little, like it was whimpers, like a puppy. I got so overwhelmed. I started bawling and hyperventilating and crying and screaming. And I just was like, Gianna, you're loved. Gianna, you're so loved. I love you. Because still at this point, I haven't seen my daughter. So, the OB, the other OB, one of the main OBs had to go to another C-section. She comes over and says, congratulations. And I said, thank you. And she just ran out because she was late, which is okay. Because the other OB was there who could answer my questions. And I just kept asking him if she was okay. And he was just like, I'm sure she's fine, Mom. Everything just takes some focus on you. Take deep breaths. Everyone here's got her. And then this lady comes in, whom I don't know. And she goes, hey, Mom, we're going to take Gianna to our NICU just to get a little extra support, okay? And I didn't know what any of that meant. I didn't even know about a NICU. And then I said, is she okay? Is she okay? And they said, we're going to go get her some help. And I just yelled, I love you, I love you. And I just kept saying, I love you, Mommy's going to be there soon. I had no idea what was going on. No one told me what happened. I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know what happened during birth. I didn't know what was going on. And I just said, Austin, go with her. Go with her. I don't want her to be alone. Go with her. So he, of course, being a good dad, kisses my forehead and he takes off with her. So now a lot of the other doctors leave to go with them to take care of her. And I'm getting sewn up. And people are just talking to me and I'm trying to put a smile on my face, but I can't. I'm trying, but I can't because I have no idea what's going on. So they sew me up and they push me back to like that recovery room. And I thought when I got in there, my baby would be in there with us. I'd get to hold her and meet her and kiss her head. It was an empty, desolate room. There was a lady who did, like, she put stuff in a computer. I don't really know what she does. She was nice. But it was just me and her. And then she had to leave, so it was just me in this empty room. And I didn't have my phone to contact my mom to tell her everything, or anyone. Austin was still in the NICU with Gianna. No doctors were coming in to update me on her care or tell me what happened. So I'm just here, numb, waist down, staring at the ceiling. I thought, okay, take a deep breath. I thought that, like, while I was alone, I said, oh my God, my daughter's gonna die before I can meet her. That my daughter is going to die and I'm not gonna be able to hold her. And that I'm never gonna know her smell or her touch or her fingers or her toes. And time goes by and eventually Austin comes back in, but he doesn't have a baby. So he just comes in kind of neutral, and we talk, and he told me that she sustained a massive blood loss and she was severely anemic and needed new blood. And that she was having some trouble breathing because she was so anemic. And now that we know it's hypoxic, I didn't know what that was then, or neither did he. And she couldn't keep her eyes open. She was so weak. She was fighting so hard. Her hematocrit was 16% and she was still holding on. And so Austin and I are trying to call our families. We have very minimal information at this point. And so we're trying to talk to everybody and keep them updated. And so this person comes in, this woman, and says that we might need to transfer her to another hospital because we don't think we have the proper or the strong enough machines here. Basically, there's different levels of NICUs, and they didn't have a high enough level that she needed, like a very intensive care, like really, really intense, like almost like they needed the life support options that they didn't have. And I really validate and respect that they didn't just keep her there to keep her there, and they knew she needed better care. And I said, okay, when would we know? And they said very soon, because we don't want to keep her here longer than we have to, or something on the lines of that. And then I keep updating family with little information I have. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm still numb. I'm traumatized for a number of reasons, but any pregnant individuals out there or parents in general that were pregnant, that closure is getting your baby directly from the womb into your arms, or at least next to you, right? At this point, I still haven't seen my daughter in person. I haven't seen a limb. I haven't seen hair. I haven't seen anything except a photograph, which is the equivalent of my family saw in Pennsylvania. So I felt broken. So they come in later and they said, we're gonna have to transfer her. She's not doing great and she needs better care. Still not knowing what's going on. And me and Austin are kind of just like in shock. We don't know what to say. Like, you go into having a baby thinking you're gonna be in awe and cry because you have to breastfeed or lose sleep or kiss their heads and take in the newborn smell, but we didn't get that. We had just shock after trauma after shock after trauma, and fear and isolation and separate meetings of her and him being alone, dealing with all this trauma of her almost dying several times, me being alone, not being able to be with them, and having to recover from a C-section and yelling at doctors to let me leave. And it's god awful, and I wish it on nobody. So then, sorry it's a little choppy, I can't really remember everything. And then this man from the hospital who's going to be doing the transfer from the other hospital, he comes in and it's just me and Austin, and he said, we're going to transfer your daughter. I'm from this hospital. We're going to take her to our NICU. We're going to take good care of her and do cooling therapy. She needs that. And he explained what cooling therapy is. It's when they lower the body to 93 degrees, and so that the blood rushes to the organs that need it the most. And there's a lot of risks with it, but there's also a lot of benefits if it works. And I said, it's fine. I didn't know what to really say, and Austin agreed. And he said it was HIE, and I had no idea what that meant, and neither did Austin. He said it was hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy. And he explained that it basically means she sustained a traumatic blood loss, a lack of oxygen, which resulted in brain damage, and it was like a bus had hit me like 27 times in the chest. Because at that point, I didn't know the cause, and all I could do was blame myself. And I don't really remember what he said after that, because I kind of blacked out, went kind of fuzzy, and I just stared at him. And then I said, will I be able to see her before she goes? I haven't even met my daughter yet. And my husband has, but I would love to meet her. And he said, yes, we'll bring her in her little isolate box. But I was excited because I thought I was was excited because as scared as I was, I thought I'd get to hold her really fast before she gets to go. I was like, I'm gonna know her smell. I'm gonna know her touch. I'm gonna kiss her sweet head. I'm gonna tell her that I love her more than life. And I'm gonna count her fingers. I'm gonna count her toes. And I'm gonna sing songs. I'm gonna do it as fast as I can before they take her. And she comes in this box. And when he said isolette box, I thought it was like one of those things they bring in the room when your baby is a newborn. It doesn't have a roof. But she was in like it looked like a little like see-through like box with had 2 armholes where you could put your hands in. And that's how I met my daughter for the first time. They brought her in and I got to touch her fingertips. She had 2 tubes going down her throat. She had life support everywhere. It's not even the wires that were the extent of the wires that was at the next hospital, but I couldn't. She was screaming. I couldn't get her. I couldn't get her. I couldn't hold her. I asked if I could hold her. They said no. She was starting to cool off and go to sleep. I just wanted to tell her I loved her. And I was still numb, so I couldn't reach far enough so I could just hold her little hand. And it was a short 2 minutes, but I got 2 minutes with her, and then they sent her off. And then Austin, being the amazing dad and man he is, he took all the bags and the boppy and the hospital bag, and he went away. And she was 35 minutes away from me in a different hospital. My whole family lived in Pennsylvania at the time, but I was in South Carolina. And the only family I had was Gianna and Austin. So I was alone in this hospital. I had nurses asking me if I was okay and what did I think happened. And everyone kept asking me, what do you think happened? And are you okay? I'm so sorry this happened. And I kept begging nurses to tell me more about HIE because I had no idea what it was. And they weren't even 100% certain. They gave me the best descriptors they could. I asked them about survival rates. I asked them if she would die. I asked them if she would come home to me because they had the most beautiful, heartfelt nursery ready for her. I asked them what happened, and no one could give me a clear-cut answer. I found out that she had the cord wrapped around her neck twice. And that she had meconium in the womb. Thankfully, she did not ingest it or aspirate it. That was just floating in there. And we still don't know what caused the HIE. Well, we can assume it was partially the cord around her neck, but it just says in all my charts potential or possible or speculated placental abruption. And I sat there for 3 days. I got up 6 to 7 hours after my C-section because I really wanted to get to my baby, and I started walking really slowly around my room, and it was the worst pain of my entire life. I was literally hunched over with a pillow on my incision site, which is really bad. You should be in bed the first day. Please don't do what I did. I was praying to God. I was like, please just keep everything inside of me so I could do these laps, that I could see my baby. Because I thought if I got up faster and started walking and I proved to them that I could go, that they would leave me go, and so I could go hold her. And I got a FaceTime from Boston, and it was Gianna. She was a little awake. She was really sedated because she was having like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of seizures. She was just
stroking his finger, and he was talking to her and playing with her hair, and then all of a sudden he had to go, and he hung up because she crashed. Her heart rate dropped, her oxygen dropped, and she stopped breathing. She was coding again on FaceTime, and my poor husband had to watch them intubate her because it was that fast. So I got to listen to rounds via telephone. We spoke to about 7 doctors via telephone. And then after 3 days, I went to go see Gianna. I went right from my hospital to hers. I didn't want to go home and shower. I literally just went right to her. And I was wheelchaired into her. And I thought that by the time I got there, she would be okay and awake. Because it was light out. And we're going down the NICU floor, and I see everyone's room has lights on. And Gianna's is dark. So I said, oh, she must be napping, and I walk in, and the room looked like a spaceship, guys. There were machines everywhere. The rooms are small in general. But Gianna had so many life-supporting technologies on her that it took up almost 80% of the room. No exaggeration. My daughter was covered head to toe in wires, and they had like a blindfold over her eyes so that she wouldn't get stimulated and have seizures because she was having so many. She had blood pressure cuffs, she had oxygen rates, she had wires everywhere. She was in a cooling bed, so she would keep her degrees low. She had a ventilator in, she had life support on, she had stuff to detect her blood gas. Oh, she had her EEG probes on her head. It was so horrible. And I was like, oh, at least there's a little patch of skin between where her wrist meets her hand and then like a few inches above that. And I said, I'm gonna touch her skin because I want to know what she feels like. I only got to touch like the fingertip of her through the isolette. And they were like, no, you can't touch her. It could stimulate her and cause a seizure. It was awful. I couldn't even touch her. What I could do was sit in the chair and stare at her and listen to the beeps and listen to the monitors and listen to every single beep go off when her oxygen dropped another %. And I would go, is she okay? Is she breathing? Is she dying? And I had doctors come in and out and introduce themselves to me because I hadn't met anybody because Austin's been there for 3 or 4 days by himself. And I had a nurse practitioner come in and she squatted in front of me and said, Mom, are you okay? And I just broke down. I said, no. And I said, I have no idea what's going on. And I just blurted it out. I didn't say, tell me about her progress. I said, is my daughter gonna die? And she didn't even answer me. And I know that's her job. She has to be like neutral and stuff. And she said this is a very hard thing. HIE is really hard because it's a waiting game. No one knows what's gonna happen in 5 minutes or 5 years or 50 years. It's so hard. Then I said, okay. And she said the first 72 hours are really crucial. And she kind of talked to me about where we're gonna go, what our plans was for the next week and stuff. And she left the room and Austin went to take a shower, and I just sat there and I stared at her and I waddled up to her and I cried over her. I didn't touch her. I prayed over her. I laid on like the little recliner that they gave us, and I just wept, and I literally told God that I wanted him to take me instead and that he could take me so that she could live. And I said, if she needs any organs, take them from me. If she needed blood, take it from me. I didn't want to be in a world without her, and I wanted her to know the world. And you do anything for your kids, and I was only a mom for 3 days, and I already knew that, So I would just sit there and scroll on my phone and read about HIE on Google, and I would Google HIE success stories, HIE survival stories, HIE warriors, HIE this and that. What's the survival rate of HIE? And you get the most horrifying statistics, because then CP pops up, cerebral palsy pops up, which doesn't make anything bad. It's just in that moment you don't understand the things that can spiderweb from HIE. Vision loss, hearing loss, my goodness, seizures, GI issues. It just went on and on and on and on. And then that statistic of the first 72 hours, that how many of the children unfortunately pass away, and I was only at I think we were reaching that 72-hour mark, and I was just unsteady. So it had been like 4 days or 5 days, and I still haven't posted. I posted a picture of her that Austin took the first time he saw her, and I posted that, but no one knew at that point that anything was wrong. And I told no one in my family to post anything about it. They could share my photo, but I didn't know what to do. And I was getting messages around 5 days like, you haven't posted anything. Not that it matters, but people know I'm a very picture-heavy person. And people were like, oh, I don't see you haven't posted any more pictures of Gianna. Is everything okay? Would love to see her, blah, 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 blah. In a supportive manner, not in a pestering manner. And I said, people are catching on. I don't know what to do. So I put a Facebook post, just taking it all in. Love you all, thank you. But I knew I couldn't do that forever, so I waited another 2 days, and 6 days go by, and people are reaching out to my mom saying, sorry, the baby woke up. She's sitting here listening to Doc McStuffins. So my mom reached out to me and was like, sweetheart, people are asking questions. I don't want to, say anything without your consent or anything, because it's your story. And I said, no, Mom, it's okay. People deserve to know. So I handled it, and I told everybody what happened, her diagnosis, and I posted beautiful pictures of her. Even though she was unconscious, she's still beautiful to me and my husband. And she's blowing bubbles. Thank you, Gianna. But the NICU story is definitely a different and just horrible story. It was very up and down, and it was terrifying, but that's for another time. Today I wanted to focus on oh my god, she's making me laugh so hard right now. Do you hear her blowing bubbles? She's so funny. I just wanted to focus on her birth story, because it is Birth Trauma Awareness Week, and I really wanted to focus my heart and energy and really channel my emotions into it, because it has been really hard. And I thank you all for listening to this with love and light, and understanding that this is so fresh and painful still. At least she's my comedic relief. I thank you all for listening with open hearts and love, and respecting our story. And there's a lot of I hit all the details, but there's still a lot missing in those words, because there's just too much that could go in a voice memo. But I gave the basics, and there's a lot of pain and heartache there. And then there's a whole other story of what happened while I was alone at the hospital by myself. And there's a whole story of what happened when Austin was alone at the hospital with her. It never ends. It could be a novel, and the thing is, the novel is still going as we speak. But we have our little girl here, and we are forever blessed. But we are still dealing with that pain and grief every day. So thank you all for listening, and I'm just so blessed to be her mom.